Ed, as you know, storytelling is very important during job interviews, and usually recruiters ask job seekers behavioral question like "Tell me about a time," or those kind of things, so that we know how the job seeker behaves, or how he thinks, or how he tries to solve a problem. So, why storytelling is important, and what can job seekers do to increase that storytelling, how should I say, storytelling ability?
Okay. So understand that when a company is asking a behavioral based interview question, what they really want to know is what would you do if you say that you've done this in the past? They're asking for an example because they're basically saying what you've done in the past is what you're going to do with us if the situation comes up here. So whatever situation they're coming around, they're looking for an example to kind of get a view into your thinking and honestly, predicting what your behavior would be in the future. The method they use and the way to understand and answering this is think of the word STAR. Situation,
Mm-hmm.
task, action, result. So when you're framing your answer to these, always understand you have to talk about the situation. What was the task that you were tasked with? What was the action you took to accomplish the task? And then what was the result? If you understand and frame it with the STAR method, you are in essence answering that question. But always keep in mind that right or wrong, the answer that you give is going to say, basically it's saying to the employer, I am going to do the same thing or a similar type thing if I'm with you and another situation arises like that. Okay? So it's a very common interview tactic. If you use the STAR method, situation, task, action, result, you will ace it, you will do well. If you don't, you're going to fumble. Be confident, understand, and think of a really relatable situation to the one that they're asking you.
But do you think that people will evolve or change by time? So if I'm working in a company A and the environment is very toxic, I will not be productive. But if I'm in a company B and they are very helpful and giving me to changes and learn, I will be evolved and my behaviors will change. So that also should be taken into consideration, right?
Absolutely. Like I said, behavioral interviewing is kind of old school nowadays, but it is something that a lot of places use. For me, an interview is more than just a set of, behavioral-based questions or experience-based questions. It's if it's done right, it's done comprehensively, where you have an interview team that's broken out into different areas of topics that are important to you. No one can cover in 45 minutes everything they need to know about somebody. So it's the best, the divide and conquer method. But if you do face these questions, I do think it's best to answer with that STAR method in mind of how you frame your responses. But absolutely, to answer your question, yes, of course people can change. The thought that they can't is archaic and old school.
But as a follow-up, that you said it's an old school asking behavioral question. So what do you think as we move forward, as we know that there's a talent war, we know that there's short of people, what should employers or recruiters do, new ways to do the interview?
Right. So the war for talent is something as well that's like an old school term. At least how I look at it. What I would say is that companies need to step outside I have these 10 requirements and these people need to fit these requirements.
Mm-hmm.
The companies that hire well, the companies that hire people who stay, are the ones that take a flyer on people who it might be the next step in their career versus a lateral move. Think about the person who's taking the job that they already are doing at another company, at another job. What's to say they're not going to do the same thing to you, 2 years from now too? But the person who's getting the opportunity in their next job to step up in their next lateral career progression is a person who's going to stay. They're going to have opportunity. They're going to see it as an opportunity. They're going to grab it. So, again, looking at people as a piece of paper is the wrong way to do this. Or, this behavioral science says I need to do this and ask these questions. Again, I think we've overcomplicated things as our profession. I think we really need to strip down to attitude, aptitude, and personality and all of these things that, a piece of paper can't say. Yeah, the piece of paper is your Willy Wonka's golden ticket into the door, right? But once you walk in the door, I think that there's an opportunity to look at the person versus the background. And I'm sorry, but, I think a lot of companies really screw that up.
I totally agree with you.